Well, I started doing my routine cleaning of the motorcycle because the construction company's done with my neighbor's yard. What they did is they widened their driveway and they put like a walkway in and steps in, and then they filled the whole front of the yard in. So the whole street is dirt on it. Not chunks of dirt, it's just like a dirt film. So every time I go up and down the street with a bike, my rear tire has dirt on it. So, I'm the kind of person, guys, I feel like whenever there's dirt on the bike, I feel like it eats away at it, which it doesn't. It's just. So I jacked the bike up, I cleaned the dirt off the rear tire, and I decided to clean my belt too. I cleaned the belt with soap and water. I cleaned the sides of the belt. I cleaned the little, what do you call the little ball ridges in it that go all the way down. I cleaned them. I cleaned the underneath of the belt. And I noticed the belt was loose just a little bit. So I decided to check my tension on the belt. And the recommended setting is supposed to be a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch deflection with 10 pounds of force on the belt. So, I use my belt tension gauge, and I have 10 pounds at 3/4 deflection, which is just a little under loose. It's really okay, but I'd rather for it to be a 1/2 inch deflection with 10 pounds. So that's what I'm in the process of doing right now, and I'm going to show you guys how I do it, and I'm going to also engrave marks on the axle bolt faces and the area that's around the axle bolt. I'm going to engrave marks on it so then I can have a better reference point, because there is no marks like if you buy a normal motorcycle has marks where you adjust your axle bolt. These don't. And by the way, I took this off of. I was advertising this on Facebook Marketplace for $10,000. I took it down because there was one guy last Wednesday. He wanted to know if he can come and take a look at it. I said yes, it's available, and I told him you can come Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Guy never got back to me. It's now Saturday. So I took the ad because I'm not playing, guys. I don't play. I don't play games with people. I took it down. I primarily took it off Facebook Marketplace because Facebook Marketplace around here, these people around here, they're all a bunch of broke-ass bitches around here. I'm not going to play with them. I'm not going to play games with these broke-ass bitches. And I tried putting this on Chopper Exchange, but the site's under routine maintenance right now. So I might put this back on. I might not. The Indian Roadmaster I wanted is sold. Someone got it. That was the one up in Erie County on Off-Road Express for $18,500. It was red with the brown premium seat. That sucker was nice, guys. I would have loved to have that, man. It's like I did shopping today. I bought a case of pop. I could have put that in the travel trunk. They have the windshield goes up and down. They have cruise control. They have a freaking radio on them. They have the wireless valve stems where you know your air pressure, and just like in my Cadillac. What else do they have? The trunks. You can remote lock your travel trunks and your saddlebags with the key fob, and it's push button start. So I'm going to wait a little longer. That the Indian Chieftain in Greensburg, I don't want it. I made my mind up. I want a Roadmaster. It's either a Roadmaster or I'm not trading this in. You know, primarily, guys, because the next motorcycle I get, man, is going to take me into my retirement. You know, and I'll be honest with you, these choppers with a big 300 rear millimeter tire, man, the older you get, the harder they get to control. I mean, they are the fucking power, the torque these have is incredible. All you got to do is just slightly touch your throttle, and it just wants to go. You know, it's like I told you when I compared this to my Hayabusa. Yeah, the Hayabusa had more power over all the gears, but these are torquier in the first and second gear. These can't be touched in the first and second gear. They're extremely torquey. So I'm going to show you guys how I adjust my rear tire. And I'm going to try to get this exact down to the millimeter. That's what you have to do, or your belt is going to talk back to you. It's going to make these little noises. You're not going to know where they're going. You're going to think a mouse, or you're going to think maybe your brake pads are touching. It's going to go, you know, like when you go to park it and you go to walk it into its space, you'll hear, and you're going to think, oh, it's got to be my brake pads. No, it's your belt. It's your belt. It's your belt slightly rubbing against something. You know, they have to be perfect, or it's going to make noise. Okay, what I did first of all is, first what you do, in order to loosen this, the bike got to be on the ground. So I lowered the bike, I loosened that, and then I tapped this in just enough to take the tension off of it. And I tap it in like with an extension, and I just tap that in a little bit. Then you jack the bike back up, and you take your adjuster stops out. These are the stops. What I do is I spray some blaster in the little holes there, and then you take your stops out. Okay, now we can adjust the bike. But first, I'm going to make marks on my center axle bolt and the cutout areas there, so I'll have a better reference point. Guys, it has to be an Indian Roadmaster with brown leather seats, man. That's the only thing I'm going to trade this in for. See, these openings are, this opening right here, this is 2.5 inches exactly, and they're both the same. So, what's the center of 2.5? What, 1.25? 1.25 is the center. So, oh my God, I nailed on a damn pebble or something. Man, I shake too. I think I started shaking about 25 years ago. That's all we need to do, guys. Now we're going to take a black magic marker and fill that in a little bit. Then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Man, this is going to be hard being left-handed. I'm not left-handed. Damn plate thing is in the way. It's actually 1.5. It's good. I got her. Now the bolt on this side is a little bit of a son of a bitch. So what I'm going to do, we're going to go point to point. There we go. And you can see how much that bolt isn't centered with the housing. Okay, now what I did is with my Allen key, your adjusters, they require the same Allen key that it takes to take the stoppers out. So what I did is I gave it a turn just enough to make the belt tighter. Now the belt's not adjusted yet, so now I got my tape measure. I taped it to a popsicle stick, and we're going to measure this in millimeters. So I'm looking at the line I made in the center of the axle kingpin, I call it. It's your axle bolt, and that's about 3.5 centimeters. Now I'm going to go on the other side and see if it's the same. Matter of fact, what I'll do, guys, is I'm going to measure the center of my my axle bolt. Make sure my line's right in the center. And this ruler is so damn dirty. And my lighting's so bad in here. You think I would have had enough sense to buy a fucking light by now. So that's about 38 millimeters. So what the hell is the center of 38 millimeters? What, 19 millimeters. So let's see here. Man, I'm doing this in my shorts. I picked a wrong time to wear shorts. There, I'm going like that. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, my black mark is right in the center. So, okay. That's about 15, maybe 16 millimeters. No, that's not 16 millimeters. That's exactly 35 millimeters. Now let's go to the other side. Guys, I'm going to have to take a coffee break, man. I used to do floors, but I will tell you, I can't be on my knees no more for a long time. And this is 2 millimeters larger. So this is about 37. So what we'll do is we'll loosen her up a bit. Yeah, that's right on now. Now let's go check our belt tension. Now I'm going to feel it by hand. And what you want to do is you want to feel the belt that's in the center of this point and this point here. So you want to get the center of both of these sprockets. So you eyeball the center, and the center for this bike is right in back of the Vance & Hines mounting holes. So what I do is I just do it by hand for now, and that definitely feels like it's tighter. So I'm going to do this one more time. Then once I feel like it's adjusted, I'm going to turn my wheel, and I'm going to make sure the belt's not hitting the tire. I'm going to eyeball it a little bit. Because this is crucial, guys, if you don't want trouble. So let's see here. That's about, yeah, that's right where this side here is. Or wait a minute, what the hell am I saying? So from the front to the center of your axle bolt, on my adjustment, it's 35 millimeters. Now from the rear of that opening to the center, I have 29 millimeters. Now let's go over to the other side. Oh, by the way, that wasn't a rat I had in my house. It was a field mouse, which I bought bait boxes with poison, so I think I killed them. Okay, now for the front to the center, that's right on 35 millimeters. And I said this to here on the other side was 29, so let's see if it's 29 here. Yep, that's 29. Now I feel, take our Allen key out. I feel like that's measured perfectly, guys. So now I got my flashlight, and I'm going to see what belt looks like where the tire is. Okay, it's not touching the tire whatsoever. And we're going to also look underneath that front sprocket to see how the belt's doing underneath there. Let me lay down with this. I think we're cool, guys. Man, that sprocket's dirty. You know what? One of these days, guys, I got to take that sprocket off, man, and clean it. That's a little dirty up inside there, man. I got to clean that. Alright, let me feel that. Yeah, I think we're cool. Okay, now we're going to test our belt tension. Alright, got our belt tension gauge by Motion Pro. Now I'm going to put this on there with the graduates facing me. And like I said, the center, that's definitely a lot better than it was. I probably got this down to 1/2 inch deflection. Okay. See how I got that? That's how it's supposed to go against your belt. Okay. Now you're going to have to use a reference point for your graduated lines here. It's like I use the bottom of the bottom line of the frame, and I try to keep my head as still as possible. So at the same time, you're looking at the little 10-pound mark on the bottom of the tool. And make sure that Motion Pro thing is set on your belt right. You see I'm holding it? So what you're going to do, guys, is you're going to look okay, the number 2 is right at the bottom of the frame. So I'm going to push. That's pretty good, I think. So I'm keeping my head still. I got the number 2 line centered with the bottom line of the frame. And I'm going to push. There comes the 1/2 inch. I think I'm moving my head a little bit. Yeah, I think that's perfect. That's 10 pounds at 1/2 inch. Maybe just a little under. So I think we got it just right. Now I'm going to go take a beverage break, and then we're going to come and put the stops back in here. Okay, so we're taking a break. Got a little bit of rum and coke here. This is actually my second glass. The other day it was 100 here, guys. 100, and that was in the front of the house. In the back of the house, I don't understand it. Ever since I cut them damn pine trees down, man, if I had a solar system here, I would not need the electric company anymore. I could have solar panels on the rear of my house and on the front, because we get constant sunlight here up on top of this hill. Back of my house was close to 119. I have a thermometer right on the back of the bricks, and the sun just hits in there and it stays, and it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. It was 119 in back of my house. Front of my house was 100. It's been like 90, 95 here almost every single day. It's super hot. Super hot. You know, and I thought for sure we were going to have a blackout the other day, because we had a small storm. We usually lose power at least once or twice every year, and it never happened. So I loaded up on the ice. I loaded up on beverages. I also sent away for a portable power pack. That sucker cost me $535. I should get that on Monday. I'm going to do I'll do a review on it. I got it primarily to run 1 or 2 fans for my wife. You know, because my wife is a borderline diabetic, so everything affects her more than the normal person. You know, like when it's cold, she's colder. When it's hot, she's hotter. It could actually raise her blood pressure to a dangerous point when it's real hot like this. So if we lose power, you know, we're in trouble. So that's why I bought this. It's about this big. It's a Jackery. It's a Jackery 500. And it's what it is. It's a solid state generator is what it is. It's a solid state portable power pack. So, you know, I think one time we lost power here for 3 days. You know, usually when it's real bad like this, we have a bad storm, it'll knock the power out for like 16 hours. So that power pack will run a fan for 2 days. That's why I got the one that ran some bucks. Yeah, guys, if I get another motorcycle, man, it all depends on the price, because, you know, I don't need another goddamn vehicle payment right now. You know, that extra $200 a month. I mean, it can't be any more than $200 a month. If it's more than $200 a month, I can't swing it. You know, that's why I was counting on selling this minimum of $10,000, and I could took that 10, and I could have put that down on the bike and finance maybe $9,000, which would have been like $200 a month over 5 years, or maybe $180, $190 a month. I could swing that with no problem. You know, it's like when we paid our vacation off, we paid it off in like installments. They have the one company I deal with. You could send in as much as you want or as little as you want, but it has to be paid before a certain time. You know, we sent in like $200 or $300 at a time, and it got paid off. So I ordered the vacation cottage. I think it was last September or last October of 2021. And they wanted, I think they wanted like 400 down, so I gave them the 400. And it's $2,000 for 1 week. So, you know, then I just sent in installments. You know, now if I make payments on another bike, it's going to be real hard to go on vacation until that bike or until the car is paid off. So I don't know. I don't know if I actually want to do it. It would be nice to have a Roadmaster, you know, because I can go shopping in that. You know, there's a lot of cargo space with the travel trunks and the saddlebags. You know, and it's just an easier bike to handle, a little quieter. I don't know. That's the upsides of it. The downside of it is, yeah, you know, another fucking car payment. So I don't know, guys, if I want to do it. You know, when you have a bike like these choppers with a big Bertha rear tire, man, they don't come along. They don't come along too many times, not the ones in nice shape. And then all the shit I did to this also. It's like I had my drywall delivered today, okay? Guy wanted to look at the bike. You know, that's what they do. That's what these things do. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to put those stop screws in, and then we'll check the measurements one last time. Okay, here is the little hickey, with the hickey. I think I'm high already, guys. The stop screws. Now, naturally, you know, make sure that your stop screws in with your area for your wrench to go in. facing out, guys. Because I'll get people, they'll say, oh, you didn't tell me how to put it back in. Now I can't get it out. You know, one thing I did forget to do, I forgot to look at my flywheel. I think we're cool. I think we're cool in the gang, guys. Okay, I put that in my hand. Now I'm going to find my socket for that. Now the very last thing you'll do is you'll torque down your axle nut. That's the very last thing, guys. You know what? I don't need my extension on this side. Now, if I was a Harley mechanic and I did that at a Harley dealership, I'd be fired. All right, let's get the other side. I'm going to see if there's a torque setting for these two guys. Probably is. You know what? Hold on a second here. I have to I'm going to loosen back up on my my stops, because I just thought to myself, how am I going to be able to tighten that bolt with all that tension on it? Alright, we took the tension off that side. Now let me get the other side. Okay, I tightened this up a little bit. We still have to torque this down. Now I want to check my measurements one last time. Let's see here. Let me make a line and that it turned around. Okay, it's 35 millimeter. $29 there. Let's do the other side, guys. Okay, guys, we've got our torque wrench. Now the manual says 75 foot-pounds for this guy here. Right now, we're at 50. You know what? I'm going to have to put this on the floor before I drop her. Okay, we're on the floor. But 60. $70. Alright, I think we're cool. That's 75. Alright, I got it back up on the jacks. Now we're going to tighten these adjuster stops. You know, and what I'm going to do is I'm just putting good tension on them. Alright guys, let's make this one over here hand tight too. Oh man, what happened to my socket came off. I have to get long ones, long Allen heads. These just reach it. There, that's nice and tight. That's what I do. I make them good hand tight. I tighten them down real good. There's probably a torque setting for them, but it's not much. It can't be much for fasteners like that. Now let's go to the other side. We're going to eyeball everything one more time and check our belt tension gauge again. Guys, if you got the money to buy a goddamn a lift for one of these bikes, buy it. Because this sucks crawling around on your knees. Absolutely sucks the big one. Okay, what I'm looking for is I want to make sure my belt's not rubbing my tire. That looks good. Then the flywheel, I'm going to make sure the flywheel's not rubbing against the frame. It's not. Flywheel's nice and straight. You can tell there's just a little bit more tension on the rear wheel, but it's good. Now we're going to check our belt tension one more time, because it feels like it's got tightened up a little bit more. Okay, let's get this guy here. All right, the center. Put this in the center about right there. And you know, I gotta buy a goddamn light, some kind of goddamn decent light for this. Yeah, the center of this, I would say, guys, it's probably about right here. Okay, there's my 10. I got my line. It's actually my 1.5. It's lined up with the frame. I keep my head still because I'm eyeballing this. You know, I bet you I think I made it a little tighter. It's probably now. Now it's probably possibly a little too tight. Well, I'll tell you what, we might have to do everything over, guys. Might have to do everything over, man. See, checking the belt tension from the front there, I don't know. I don't know if it's such a good idea. That's actually too far up. It's about right there. That's about right there. I'm trying to get a goddamn reference point. I can't get a reference point. And it's hard to keep my head still. Guys, it's too tight, man. I don't know how the hell the belt tightened up, but it did. It tightened up a little bit. So we're going to have to drop this back down, untorque the rear axle, take my stops out, and we're going to have to let off of this a little bit. Because this belt's way too tight like this. And I got to get some of this shit out of my way in here too. Okay guys, I removed my adjusters. I cleaned them up a little bit. I put a little bit of fluid film on them so they'll be easy to turn. And now we're going to go through this whole process one more time. That's about 34. Now let's go look at the other side. Okay guys, I got my measurements right, just exact on, down to 0.5 millimeter. And I keep on losing. Now I lost my flashlight. Where's my damn flashlight at? I think it's time to take a break. So, okay, now we're going to eyeball. Our belt looks good. Our rear pulley looks good. I felt we're going to measure that, but my belt feels pretty good. I torqued the axle down, the rear axle nut down to 75 foot-pounds. So that's done, that's torqued down. Now we have to put our adjuster stops in. Yeah, I took my I took my adjusters out. I cleaned them with acetone, and then I lubed them up with fluid film. That way they'll come out nice and easy in the future. So, okay, let's put these guys back in now. Why am I doing it with that when I got this? Yeah, I have to get a set of long neck hex sockets. I need to get a set of those. That way there, I don't have to use that no more. Okay, that's nice and sparkling tight. Now let's go do the other one. Okay, I got my adjuster stops in. Now let's check our belt tension. Okay, we want you about right there. It's already a little bit better, I can already tell. So, okay, let's eyeball you about right there. I can't see my 10. There's my 10, okay. Yeah, that's about 1 inch. That's about a ½ inch. I think we're a lot better, guys. A lot better. You can see my 2 underneath there. I'm going to try that. Now the center is probably about right there. It's like the center is about right here. So I'm actually using the bottom of the oil pan as a reference for my 1.5 line. It's actually about right where it was before. You know, it's just over a 1/2 inch deflection. So we're going to leave it like that. Now, if you do the top of the belt, the top of the belt's different, okay? The top of the belt is actually right on a button. I'm using a bolt on my starter as a reference. I got the 1 lined up. The top of the belt's 10 pounds at a 1/2 inch deflection. Now, so you figure you center your sprockets about right there, and that's there. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe the middle is about right here. And you know, you can't get your, this is as far in as you can get the tool without it hitting the tire. So that's a 1/2 inch with 10 pounds of deflection. So we're going to leave it alone, guys. Now make sure you turn the wheel a bit. Eyeball it a little bit. Just make sure. It should be okay. But see, that's what I did. I did these. I measured these down to 1/2 millimeter. These are exactly the same. These from here to the center of my axle bolt, it's 35 millimeters on both sides. Another thing I did too, before I tighten my adjusters, I made sure that my axle is tapped. So what I did is I got an extension like this, and I hit it with a hammer. I made sure that's seated in there, because your adjusters seat on this part of your axle bolt. You know, the mistake I actually did before is I told you guys that I tap on the other side of this to release the tension. You know, just make sure that you seat your axle bolt back in place before you set your adjusters in here. Because I don't know if you guys can see in there, but it's sitting in there. So it's about 6:30 in the morning right now. I've been down here probably since 1 a.m., maybe 12:30. Okay, guys, everything's back on. Now I'm going to clean my belt up. You know, like I told you guys, I use soap and water with a sponge. Trying to figure out what the hell that damn noise is. Nothing's hitting. I wonder if that could be my brake pads. I need a bar or something, guys, because I don't got no one to help. Yeah, maybe that is my brake pads. I think that's what it is. That's what brake pads do. They're doing a brake pad kind of thing. So, okay, like I said, let's recap this. Untorque your rear axle bolt. Okay? Put the bike up on its jack. Take your adjuster stops out. The best thing to do is remove them and clean them. Oh yeah, I mean, you have to take your adjuster stops out in order to get to your adjusters. And if you want to take your adjusters out, take them out, clean them real good. I like to use fluid film. Fluid film lasts like a year. You know, because I do this. I'll readjust I'll check my belt maybe 2 times a year, maybe once a year. It all depends what I run into with it. And before you adjust your adjusters, make sure that axle is tapped from the right side of the bike. Tap it, make sure it's seated, because if it's not seated, the adjusters aren't going to seat on there properly. Okay, that's a mistake I made at the beginning of the video. I told you guys on the left hand side, tap it to take the tension off of it. Just make sure before you adjust your adjusters, make sure it's tapped back. And you know, matter of fact, what I should do is I should sacrifice this tape measure, because I need this end of it. Measuring in millimeters is the best way. It's a very accurate measurement. You know, yours doesn't have to be 35 millimeters. That's what mine is. Yours might be a little different, but make sure it's the exact same thing down to the 1/2 of a millimeter, guys. Okay? On both sides of the bike, on the left and right side. You know, and then after you have it adjusted, you know, first you tap that axle bolt in from the right side to the left. Then make sure your adjusters are the same on both sides. And then I think tightening the axle bolt, tighten it like to 40-50 foot-pounds before you torque it down. And then recheck your measurements for your adjusters again. Check your belt, make sure it's not too tight. Then you lower the bike, torque that bolt down to your specified torque setting. Mine was 75 foot-pounds. I put it at 75 foot-pounds. Might be 1 or 2 pounds over, because my torque wrench isn't very accurate. That's an old school torque wrench there. So, but it's close. It's either at 75 pounds or 1 or 2 over. And then push the bike back up. You check your adjusters once again. Eyeball everything. Make sure your belt isn't touching the tire. Make sure your flywheel's not rubbing against the frame. And you check your belt tension gauge. Check your belt tension with your tension gauge. And then when you're all finished, put your adjuster stops back in, and you should be cool and copacetic. So I'm going to try to get a ride video in today because it's going to be way too hot to walk my Husky. Way too hot. It's like 85, 90 degrees right now outside. So, catch you later.